towards these squishy backline carries, but in terms of engage, everything going in favor of TSM.
And that's what you really have to remember, because while the Taric can put this down, if you're being proactive, if you're choosing the initiation, you drop that Cosmic Radiance, you drop your ultimate, you go forward. But when you're getting engaged on by a Rakan, by a Gragas, if you're getting split up, if you're getting burst down, by the Feast from the Cho'Gath, by the double marksman damage, that can be very, very difficult to deal with.
On the Rift. Group D will find a 2-0 placement holder after this matchup, be it TSM or Team WE. One team has to walk away with a loss here, and who will sit atop Group D? We find out shortly.
Another concern that I have when I'm looking at Team WE's composition is that no one on the top side of the map is actually going to force Hauntzer into building any armor. So if you build into early magic resistance, if you want to go for something like an Abyssal or a Spirit Visage early on, as well as the Mercury Treads, you're really going to be very difficult to kill from the Shen, from the Sejuani, from the Syndra as well. Like, it's so easy to itemize.
It depends as well whether or not they want a little bit more in terms of engage, because we did see Righteous Glory rushes from a few Cho'Gaths as well, and that was just good facilitating, being like, oh, okay, we actually feel really strong around the mid-game. We feel like we want to try and force a couple fights, and it very much depends on what Hauntzer wants to try and do. I think that it makes a lot of sense prioritizing early magic resistance, but TSM could say, you know what, we have the Trinity Force from the Corki, we have a Tristana who does a fair amount of early game damage as well. Like, maybe they just want to be a little bit more active in the early.
Yeah, and if you're not feeling the threat of those kills anyway, then you can just skip that, right? Because Shen is not going to put on a lot of solo kill pressure regardless, so if you're confident in the vision that is being provided here from Svenskeren, if you're confident in your ability to survive those ganks, then you don't have to be as worried, and that's when it comes back again to those junglers.
Yep, we'll see Sven starting both on the bottom side, going toward the top. They'll have their double buffs, but looking at those summoner spells, not recently have we seen the Ignite coming in for those bot lanes, and Doublelift and Biofrost have that kill pressure here. May be able to start that little bit of early aggression to bot lane if they choose to do so.
And I'm really excited to see how these two teams match up, because thinking back to how these two teams played yesterday, TSM, they did have a very long, drawn-out back and forth going up against Flash Wolves, whereas for WE, they were just very quick and very dominant in how they dismantled Misfit.
Yeah, they certainly were. And I think it's going to be a very different game this time around than what WE had against Misfits.
For sure.
I think that they are going to be in tough, but we certainly have seen that TSM can be challenged and really put to the limit in these groups. But the fact of the matter is, to me, teams have not closed games very well.
Agreed.
And if Flash Wolves had actually closed out that game properly with the advantages that they had, you feel like they were the team that should have won.
And that's one of the big concerns that TSM may have, given that WE have demonstrated they can get these early leads, and they're very effective at closing them.
Oh,
but
Bjergsen roaming.
Good hit on xiye, stops him from getting to Svenskeren and Condi. That's the slow on to Condi. Should be able to dash out of this one as well. Svenskeren trying to get that gap closer in. Bot lane is pushing, so TSM on all fronts is getting WE to their turrets.
Both junglers do have Smite there as well, and Bjergsen is trying to push up to be able to actually join if this fight continues. Hauntzer has actually roamed down here as well, so TSM putting a lot of pressure onto Condi. They're trying to support Svenskeren and get him off to an early game start.
Looks like right now TSM have all the advantages.
Wow!
Oh,
Absolutely amazing. He's going to live throughout that one, though. Just enough HP to survive the red buff tick.
Hauntzer using the blast cone just off screen to get as close as possible to Condi. He was ready to flash, he was ready to go in and get that kill, but unfortunately, it was not there fast enough, so Condi is able to walk away with his life.
but Hauntzer really didn't lose anything. He had actually had the push on top side, so he shoved in the wave, makes this roam. It also means that Condi is going to lose his Krugs here too, so that's two camps that go the way of Svenskeren. It's pressure on the top side, and this is Shen without a taunt here.
Just outside of turret range, able to deliver to that. Svenskeren wins the jungle. Svenskeren helps win top lane, having a much better start to his game this time around.
I think that was a bit of a misplay there from 957, using the taunt, knowing that the top side of the jungle did not belong to Team WE, is now going to force him to use his flash and going to give a little bit more pressure over to Hauntzer. So this early game matchup that often can go heavily in the favor of the Shen is now being pushed back due to the lack of respect from 957.
It also gives a lot of information to TSM because they cleared the top side of the jungle. They know the only place that Condi could be is on the bot side, so we'll see how much respect TSM is giving over to that. They already have a couple wards in the river, one by mid lane that I believe did spot the pink ward as it went down, as well as another in the river brush. So we'll see if Doublelift and Biofrost are able to stay safe.
Still got to keep an eye on Condi. I feel like this hasn't really hurt him too much. As soon as WE is able to start making moves, they do not stop, and Condi's usually on the front line of that. A little aggression with the dazzle towards Doublelift, buffered rocket jump to safety as Team WE gets a little bit of lane control here as their minion wave pushing.
Mystic and Ben doing a good job of applying pressure in the 2 versus 2, but you can see that there's a big minion wave stacking right now. Doublelift should have the farm advantage, and that's very much what you'd expect from a Tristana Rakan lane. We talked during the draft how a lot of the LPL teams consider Xayah to be the strongest AD carry in terms of the 2 versus 2, and a very limited number of gems that can really match her, but when you pair her up with a Taric, it's much harder to have that same kind of pressure, which is where this deficit is coming from.
Certainly the case, but either way, it is such a powerful team fighter that you're willing to kind of sometimes make that sacrifice, and it's one of the reasons that we're seeing the rise in popularity here from the Taric because of how good it is in the later stages of the game. When you have a high amount of CDR, the cooldown is so low on your ultimate, and you can continually reset fights with that.
Still pretty quiet on the home front, 6 minutes in. Condi able to stave off what was happening in the jungle, didn't lose his flash, now able to get a few deep wards in. And this could set Team WE up for their own engagements, for their own starts as the waves are pushing back towards TSM here.
We can also see Mountain Drake spawned on the bottom side, likely to be one of the higher priority Drakes that are available, but right now neither team really focusing on the bot side. Looks like Team WE, their eyes are on the top. No TP on Hauntzer, only level 5, but I think he reads the play.
Yeah, I think he has read this play. They're calling the missing from mid lane. The problem is he has to actually back up, and while they are calling out the play, he will be able to go back and farm with the CS. But I was going to say, if they're trying to zone him off that turret, sometimes even just applying the pressure can cause you to lose the experience, lose the farm, which can make the plays worthwhile.
A lot of pings, and that Scryer's Bloom shot towards the blue buff area. You see like TSM's going to get their own deep wards in here and see if they can try to deny a few resources and get maybe some pressure on this first Mountain Drake, if anything comes of it.
And it looks like before that they're thinking about trying to contest this blue buff. They have to remember though, this is a level 6 Shen. Hauntzer does not have TP, so this is not really a play that I think TSM is set up to be able to make. When Stand United is available, when TP is available, you have to play respectful of that Shen. Because if Hauntzer doesn't have insight to actually interrupt, then you can't really go for those sort of plays.
Hauntzer up in that top lane. He has too much, if any, stacks just yet. Hasn't decided to chomp down. He's still holding off as he might make his way into the jungle and make that his first as a red buff respawns here for Team WE.
Looks like he is working towards that righteous story. We were talking about itemization earlier on. TSM saying, oh, we want that additional bit of engage from the top side of the map, but for now their focus is on this top side where they had control around the spawning of the red buff. They've already got this deep vision down. The problem for them is that Bjergsen is pushed underneath his turret, but yeah, okay. He's a Cho'Gath. It's very easy for him to steal away the camp. So, good job, Hauntzer.
And it's not only just a stolen camp, that's a red buff, which really does make it a lot more difficult to lane against this guy. It's the damage from the true damage, the slow, and as well as a lot of HP regen, which is such a big part if you're trying to trade aggressively. And while Hauntzer is not really defensively itemizing himself against this magic damage, you can see that Bjergsen is looking like he wants to pick up a Hex Shrinker and maybe even then go towards a Phage, which is pretty defensive on the side of this Corki. If he doesn't complete it, could change things up and try to just sit on that null magic mantle, but it's actually Doublelift roaming up, and Rakan, I believe Biofrost is heading towards mid lane here as well. They may be trying to set up a 3-man play.
But you can see the pings coming out from Team WE. They recognize that Doublelift is missing. They're afraid of the potential Biofrost roam as well, and xiye showing a lot of respect towards TSM, and I think it's worth highlighting xiye. He's considered very much the father figure of this team, one of the older players on the roster. He's been playing League of Legends for a long time, but really only came into the scene fairly recently, and the fact that Team WE, they have been growing this roster over a long period of time. This year was the first time they were able to win a split, and this is also the first time that Team WE have returned to the world stage since 2012, and they're looking to make a bit more of a name for themselves.
quick hit, Cosmic. No, just the Bastion goes down, and the heal onto Ben. They stay alive for that one. Level 6s are there. Doublelift has used his, and Biofrost is going to hold.
And you know that TSM did not fully commit to that. So they get a really good chunk, no Ignite used, no ultimate from Biofrost used. They don't jump forward because they know the Shen stand united would come through and turn around that play.
And the TP was unavailable from Hauntzer, so there's no way for him to match to help support the bottom lane out. Like the respect from TSM's duo for the time being, but now there's going to be a battle for this Drake.
Will missing from Biofrost. They get out Svenskeren's flash, making sure he's still there to fight the bigger fight here, that war for the dragon. They're going to have to be looped down to the bottom side, which leaves Bjergsen on the top here. It doesn't look like anybody's going to get anything out of this dragon just yet.
And TSM wants to continue trying to push up these waves. They're trying to buy time for Hauntzer's TP to come back, which it has. So now if they can get good buys off, they would be able to try to contest for one of these dragons. Both junglers are down around bot side though, but Condi has made his way to lane faster, and a pick here could mean that objective goes over to WE.
Slow play. You can see Team WE and TSM playing the somebody's here, but not really. Go aggressive on us. We want to get that counter, and that's in both of their minds. That's why we're seeing the stalemate. Condi may be making the first move, though.
A lot of respect being given between these two teams, and both a lot of confidence as well in their late game play. Neither of these teams are feeling the pressure to make any early moves because they feel like they are the ones that are going to have the advantages in the later side. But Condi feels like he's getting a little bit antsy. He is spending a ton of time here on the bottom side.
So hard to take this lane out. A buffered rocket jump from Doublelift. Biofrost able to dance back and just get the safety in. It would be extravagant if they were able to pull it off, but I believe Team WE still could if they went for it. TSM stays safe for now, and again, more farming.
And they're able to get their buys off. I mean, Bjergsen's out on the map with the package. He has his Hex Drinker now too, but taking a lot of poke there. And Svenskeren has been able to establish a farm advantage. That's where a fair bit of their gold lead has come from, simply because Condi was really trying to make these ganks happen. Whoa.
Nice little dodge out. That actually relieves quite a bit of pressure for this dragon if something else can happen, if a flash is now blown in favor of TSM.
Condi just trying to send out a message, being like, I am around, I have control over the river. But it will, as you rightly said, Riv, it will alleviate a bit of pressure now from TSM. They're not as afraid of that jungle gang from Condi because that big ultimate is unavailable. So, bit of pressure swing now back in the favor of TSM, but again, a lot of praise for TSM for respecting that Shen. You can see Team WE trying their best to utilize that ultimate, but Hauntzer always pushing the Shen underneath the tower. He's got to a point where he has plenty of wave clear and the Shen cannot match it. Now that he's picked up the Tiamat, it'll be a little bit easier, but Team WE, they're trying their hardest to utilize 957 and bring him to the rest of the map.
And while TSM pulled back last time the blue buff contest was available, this time they are confident to go for it. You can see Hauntzer has backed off. He's actually farming the jungle so that he could not be interrupted if he tries the TP in here. But xiye is able to pull it away, and nicely comboed actually
Syndra. Super obnoxious, able to just pick up those jungle creeps and walk off with them. The invade, the strategy, and the setup from TSM was good, but we got outplayed by those.
See when this opening could be. A few turrets in favor of TSM could unlock the Corki and the Doublelift at the right time. The Corki and the Tristana at the right time. Same thing for WE though. xiye coming online, getting a few items for himself as he unleashes that power. We could easily see a Bjergsen or a Doublelift going down.
And this is one of those games where when both teams are playing this passively for so long, sometimes you kind of lose track of how much damage your opponents are going to be dealing in the team fights because you haven't really been fighting. You haven't had this progressive ramp up. It's just all of a sudden you're fighting someone with a completed item, and those first fights can decide the games in these types of situations.
Slow play as TSM tries to grab a little bit more control around the map, taking it accordingly as Team WE gets a chance to back, put a few more items in. xiye chooses the Merc Treads to keep himself moving around and dishing out a bit more damage.
Now, this may very well be a little bit boring to watch. It is the expectation of what the current meta is, but I think it's really important to highlight what this will also give birth to. Exactly. There's going to be a lot of very impressive team fights that are on, because something that TSM have been working on this year is more of a defensive early game, transitioning into a stronger mid to late game team, and trying to improve their decision making and their team fighting ability. The thing that Team WE are famous for is their team fighting prowess and individual talent when it comes to those 5v5 skirmishes. That's why they are considered the very different, really the top team in China, because nobody else plays like they do, and they were able to demonstrate that earlier in the year at MSI. So both these teams, they've got their team fight compositions, they're teams that are specialized in improving their team fights, and that's just going to make these team fights so much more exciting later into the game.
And where do you think we get that team fight? Seems like TSM is rarely going to forget there's a Stand United coming. Maybe kind of face checking a brush, dodging out though, and they'll be able to get some vision. But how can we see this happening maybe at the Dragon?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think it could be around Dragon, and it might very well be right now. We'll see if Svenskeren is able to get away. The Stand United's coming in.
Flash on Svenskeren. This is the same thing that happened right behind Red when they went for Dragon the first time. Could he be going down? Battle Dance in. The saves are there. And Svenskeren's going to live. No! Unleash power just to range. xiye picks up first blood.
Doublelift is coming up, though. They have Hauntzer actually continuing to push on the top side, so we'll see if WE tries to extend this advantage and go for the Mountain Dragon.
But just like yesterday, it's Svenskeren that ends up going down. He sticks around a little too long. He doesn't pay enough respect, and Team WE are quick to punish. Condi with the setup, the Shen follow up as well. They find first blood, and now their eyes are on Hauntzer.
It's been a slow rinse and repeat for Team WE in the same area, denying TSM the blue buff, denying TSM that range. They held off for Condi's ult to come back, and again go for the same play. Hauntzer now being routed out of Team WE's jungle, and Bjergsen will be there for safe passage.
Hauntzer did get a ton of damage, though, off in that top lane. They're actually going for an all-in on the bot side.
Quill, he's got Benzai, but they want the kill here, and Mystic looks like he can get it on Biofrost. They get a little bit of a heal back as Doublelift wants to step forward. There's the barrier that comes out as Ignite has already been used, and the Buster shot gets a Feather Storm.
Still a good trade there for TSM. They get the ultimate, they get two summoners down, and this is Svenskeren moving forward, getting Condi. Wanted to hold on to that flash, but once he's already hit by one stun, he flashes. Yeah. Nice aim there from Condi to actually attach with the next. The Stand United was then coming in. They use the Taric ultimate aggressively here to enable this tower dive. xiye simply stepping forward and unleashing the power.
And know how Hauntzer, he just stayed top lane. He realized that there was no point in him TPing in to try and assist the team. His focus was on that top tower. But with the bottom lane of Team WE trying to go for that skirmish against Double and Bio earlier on, they were forced back, and then after Svenskeren respawns, he knows that he can just transition to the bot lane and pick up that first neutral objective. So TSM, they did lose first blood, but overall in the objective game, they're the ones that come out ahead.
And they're still up in gold. You can very easily see that top lane turret go down pretty quickly here too. That first turret gold would be worth quite a lot for TSM if they can get that advantage. Or if they even want to try to do something like a lane swap or even just roam Bjergsen up to the top lane to try to knock that down. It is very low, and Bjergsen is at a very strong point in the game now, having completed his Trinity Force. He is ready to make these sort of moves, which could simply be a package up to the top side.
It's that hit we were talking about, Doublelift as well, Infinity Edge coming online as these guys hit next level. Clear here for Bjergsen in the mid lane. He may be able to roam down, but he may find WE coming from that bottom side before he gets himself to safety. And does not look like Condi's going in.
I think both these teams are going to be looking to try and set up their AD carries for success because, as we said earlier in the day, we heard from Doublelift that he was very much about, he believes that he is stronger than Mystic, especially after seeing his performance. And now we're seeing the bottom lane set up. But nothing's going to happen.
So in and out. Makes you want to pull your hair out.
So this, again, the reason that TSM is not going forward is because they're respecting the fact that Stand United could be available. It's not up for another second or two, but they didn't have the exact timing. And Bjergsen is able to make that roam that I had just talked about. Just uses the package speed, goes up the top side, knocks down the first turret, and this is making it even harder for 957. And I would say that TSM has done a good job of actually neutralizing the early game advantage of that Shen, not allowing him to really get too much done with these Stand Uniteds.
Looking at a CS lead in that top lane, in that mid lane, and pretty much even out of the bot lane here as we're looking for those turrets to go down. A little bit of a setup here for Team WE. They got quite a bit of time before that next Mountain Drake, but it is going to be those Drakes that teams will want to get these structures down, those objectives down.
And you're seeing WE more and more set up in these bushes. They're waiting for TSM to extend a little bit too far. And if someone from TSM does step forward into one of these unwarded bushes, they will be pounced on, they will be taken out. So TSM is playing with a lot of respect, and You can see Svenskeren was actually ulted by xiye, knocked very low, but does survive.
And I think Team WE, their eyes are on this tier 1 tower in the bottom lane right now. And because TSM understand the rough positioning of Condi, they're immediately going to answer. So both these teams going back and forth, but TSM are always the team that are coming out ahead in terms of the objectives.
Yeah, I mean, Biofrost is actually left lane. He just faced. He's going towards mid, so they've made the call to actually give up this bot side turret. They're going to try to trade it for the Rift Herald and then perhaps get a lot of pressure down on mid lane immediately with that. You can see that Biofrost is heading up there. Doublelift is going to go bot side to catch the wave, but TSM is very clearly looking to answer on the other side of the map.
I think this is fine for TSM because their eyes will be to take down that mid tier 1 as well. Against the Syndra, it's pretty difficult to siege. You always got to be respectful of the pick power that she has with the stun. And she has a fair amount of wave clear. So with the Rift Herald, they have that extra bit of clear needed to chunk out and open up the map that much more.
It is going to take a moment longer as well. TSM backs, which means Team WE are going to get these waves pushed a few times. Then they can set up the Rift Herald from TSM side. But I'm sure WE will be ready for it. We haven't seen too many forward wards being placed by either team, though. A lot of action just around that dragon and in the lanes. So somebody could get in trouble trying to get these wards placed. Here you see TSM's getting cleared out.
Yeah, they're kind of trying to make some incursions into each other's red side jungle, but haven't been able to get any full control over their opponent's jungle. Both teams playing with a lot of respect, and both teams extremely evenly matched so far. And it's really going to come down, I think, a lot to the engages from TSM. Can they find those great engages with the Rakan, with this Gragas, or will WE be able to utilize that Taric ultimate to really get a lot of damage done?
And I think those item spikes are going to be one of the biggest determining factors as to when those engages come out, because TSM, they're waiting for this opportunity. Bjergsen coming from the flank.
He's going to meet xiye on the right side. Cosmic Radiance goes down. Doublelift forced to flash out of that one. Actually quite low to start. Gets Condi back. He throws the ultimate down, and that's only going to hit Svenskeren. That could be the kill that WE needs, though, to gain control of this jungle. Biofrost gets unleashed on as well, and it's 2 kills coming in for WE.
And it's TSM trying to go for the engage, but it's Team WE to come out with the team fight win. Fantastic punish from Condi, expecting the flash from Svenskeren and still able to land the ultimate. They get themselves 2 kills, and now they're looking for more.
And we talked about the engages there, and Biofrost completely whiffed his grand entrance. He was not able to hit anyone with that RW combo, and does get taken out on the exit as well. So TSM losing a lot there, losing multiple flashes as well as those kills, and they are going to lose the top side turret here.
WE knowing when they could attack, figuring there was just the amount. Ooh! Another shot from Bjergsen. I was going to say just the right amount of people there to fight, but Bjergsen knew just the right amount of damage for xiye in mid.
The one man you can always count on in the mid lane is Bjergsen. We hyped up xiye at the start of the game, but you can never count this superstar out. Finding the solo kill down, now being able to utilize the Rift Herald as well. TSM, they're going to get themselves a turret.
And this is Bjergsen seeing that xiye had his flash down, capitalizing, getting something back for them. And they will knock down that mid lane turret while Doublelift is pressuring on the top side. So this is really a big swing back for TSM and helps them even the game right back out.
And such a big mistake from xiye as well. He is one of the leaders of the team. He is one of the experienced players that a lot of the young players look up to and rely on. And if he falls down to Bjergsen, you have to wonder how that affects their confidence, because they've been finding a lot of successful fights, but this game is still very even. TSM are the ones that have control over the towers, and TSM have control of the Mountain Drake. But let's see how this fight actually breaks down.
Yeah, and here's the play again. Bjergsen simply flashing over that Q, knowing that the summoner is not available from xiye from the earlier skirmish, gets them the kill, gets them mid lane control and that tower, and now they get their second Mountain Dragon. So the threat of a Baron Rush becomes so real with that second Mountain Dragon going over to TSM. Means they're going to be able to burn this down very quickly, and WE will always have to make a concerted effort to keep vision around the Baron at all times.
Yeah, Cho'Gath as well, you always have to respect it. Look at Bjergsen once again.
Right after his Hex Drinker Triforce, getting that BF sword, looking for even more damage. Pickaxe after that, and I pretty much know what's coming into his inventory with that Infinity Edge.
Yeah, Bjergsen is off to a really good point. Doublelift quietly has been farming away. Mystic is outpacing him because of the kills, because of the additional CS that he has been able to pick up. Thankfully, because of the pressure they put bot side. And WE is going to be looking to go mid lane to try to answer this turret back. So we'll see if TSM will be ready.
A few pings towards the bot. Hauntzer is trying to seek out 957 as he was roaming up, saying, I can't stop that TP, I can't stop the stand united. their back buddy-buddy system on the bot side as they farm it out. Just about 30 more CS for Hauntzer, but both TPs are up, and we could see some big action here coming around the Baron.
I'm really excited to see how things play out moving forward, because Mystic is at this point in the game where he's had so much praise. His team fighting prowess is really where he's able to shine. He's considered by many analysts the best AD carry in China, but here's the engage.
Oh, straight through. Biofrost trying to charm up the entire team. WE, and he's got a few. It looks like they got the number on Ben as well. Goes down a double kill for Bjergsen, and now they're going to be looking for Condi, one of the tankiest members. They drop him, and Baron is in the eyes of TSM. It might already be.
That ultimate from Svenskeren was incredible. He split Ben up from xiye, denying the Taric ultimate from coming through, allows them to get Syndra. They are teaming in, and they're going to secure this with the Gragas. TSM is looking to get a stranglehold on this game.
Gragas and the Cho'Gath. Condi can't even make it close. Beautiful job by TSM by holding off on the damage and making sure Condi is at range. Baron grabbed 25 minutes in by TSM.
TSM find the first significant lead in this game. Team WE, they get caught unawares. They make an uncharacteristic mistake, and they don't respect the engage from Biofrost. Keep your eyes on how this setup starts. Biofrost comes in, gets a great two-man knockup along with the charm, and then the Gragas ultimate from Svenskeren, splitting up the team, allowing the rest of TSM to just shred through the lineup of Team WE. Condi, he's famous for his Baron steals, but TSM know that, and they don't allow him to take it away.
And Hauntzer getting a lot of damage down on WE. You can see he knocks 957 out, then TP'd in to secure the Baron. So very well played here from Hauntzer. Not only is he kind of outscaling his opponent, he's already on 7 stacks, he's up a lot of farm, and the Cho'Gath is going to be a menace in these team fights and be pivotal in helping to burst people down before the Taric ultimate completes.
It's absolutely ridiculous to take into consideration how much happened off the ball there for Hauntzer when we were watching the fight. It could have gone much, much different. 2 Ocean Drakes now to that. Bjergsen on Corki and Doublelift on Tristana. The Demolition team is going to be wiping down these turrets if they get a moment at them. And now they have a bit of siege power to do it with.
Yesterday was all the Hauntzer show. Doublelift was the one that got the game-winning play, but today Bjergsen is the individual that is stepping up. We talked about how it was all going to come down to these late-game team fights and how the engages from TSM would be pivotal if they wanted to be the ones to come out ahead. Biofrost was able to find it. Bjergsen was able to find the follow-up damage, and now they have the Baron buff. They've got their eyes on the base of Team WE.
And while TSM does want to threaten these turrets, I don't think that they want a concerted fight. Doublelift has not purchased in quite a long time. You can see that the BF Sword plus pickaxe advantage goes over to Mystic, so he has quite a bit of gold in his pockets. And you know, they want to have him buy up before they actually commit to that fight. And it seems like Doublelift is just trying to stay out on the map, get to a full completed second Zeal item, then go for the base, hit 3 items, and look to fight right with that power spike.
Like they won't go for the full push here, knowing Team WE will have time to respond, but now TSM can take another look at the map and figure out exactly what they want to do with this buff. Hauntzer has just about all the time in the world, and by the time he gets to that point in what would be the top lane, if they go bottom, he'll have teleport again.
Now the big thing here that's concerning for Team WE is historically when they fall behind, they tend to be a lot more reserved. They tend to pull back a lot more, and they wait for their opposition to make that kind of a mistake. But what we've been seeing from TSM is, especially in the late game, they're so much clearer in their decision making. They know how to be able to siege onto these towers and break into their opposition's base. So if Team WE don't look to try and catch TSM off guard, don't look to try and make this play, TSM are just going to slowly and gradually work their way into the base of Team WE and bleed them out of this game.
And WE does have their opportunities to go for those aggressive plays. Mystic has completed his very expensive 3 items. He's on the IE plus the Essence Reaver, and he has his Rapid Fire. He's at a point where he can take over a team fight, certainly if he's given the freedom to do so. If they find that right Taric ult with the engage, give him that free firing time in the backline, he will make TSM pay.
So one of the interesting things of that, Rakan versus Taric. If you get the Charm in, the Cosmic Radiance comes in when everybody has half HP, and then you don't feel as strong to fight after it wears off. Biofrost will get in there with the engages. Ben is having a hard time to save the team. However, it can go very wrong very quick here. You know, Team WE can still bite back quite strong. Good items on xiye, Condi, and 957. A ton of crowd control to lock up these fights, and if Mystic and Ben place or position correctly, it turns right back around.
And now both teams are going to be eyeing up that Baron once more because it gets a little bit harder for TSM to siege onto the base of Team WE. They always have to respect the engage power of Sejuani and the Syndra, but the majority of the map still belongs to TSM. They're the ones that have a lot of vision control throughout the entire river, and they'll be able to pick up another Ocean Drake thanks to that control.
And that is why the vision control is so important in a game like this, because of the powerful engage from TSM. If WE loses vision control in one side of their jungle, they can no longer enter because of the threat coming out of Biofrost and Svenskeren to immediately jump on them and start one of those fights that they aren't prepared for.
Over at what the buddy system is here. It is Bjergsen gets the Knight's Vow from Svenskeren. Can obviously change it whenever he wants to, but Bjergsen with the pack wanting to go in these fights. It's nice to actually have that on him. You can see Mystics coming in there from 957.
And looking at some of the extra itemization as well, Svenskeren getting a relatively early locket, which is going to be huge against a champion like Syndra. The amount of burst that it can mitigate can be really effective, on top of the fact that Mystic, we're keeping our eyes on him and the amount of damage that he can output, but some of the shielding that is available on TSM is going to make that burst so much harder to put on.
It really is, and especially when you pair that locket along with the redemption, it buys time for the redemption to actually be able to come down, which can be a game-turning point.
You get to figure out if it's yours or the enemy team's. Do I run out or do I run in? The split-second decisions, the executive decisions here 30 minutes in, trying to be made by TSM and both Team WE. Looking at just about a minute on Baron. Expect the wards to go down and expect them to be heavily protected at this point in time.
And the one thing we do have to say is Team WE, they weren't really able to utilize the Shen this game. You have to give a lot of credit to TSM preventing them from trying, because we did see Team WE attempt a lot in the early game to take advantage of it, but it just became harder and harder. And now we're at a point where the Cho'Gath just has so much more value in a lot of these fights.
And this is something I like to talk about, where it's not thinking about your win conditions, it's thinking about what are your opponent's win conditions, right? And TSM in the early game did a very good job of saying, how does WE beat us this game? Well, they're proactive. They find ways to get the Shen involved early before the Cho'Gath can scale, before the Cho'Gath can overtake him in power, so they don't give that to their opponents. They say, you know what, if you could be over there, we won't go there. We'll play very defensively. We'll ward very defensively. We'll allow ourselves to give up some vision early and get to a very strong point where you can then start to take over the map.
And they actually handled it quite well. The question was, would Svenskeren be a part of that? And he was actually a very big part of it, pushing Condi out. Team WE staving off that early aggression as it happened. We saw the first blood coming to them onto TSM, onto Svenskeren as he got caught. Now it seems TSM back in favor with the Baron, back in favor with this lane control, and Team WE is still looking for a way into this fight.
It's a very frightening point in the game, too, when Hauntzer is almost full build. I mean, he's already 4 fully completed items. Just has that 1 slot for pink wards. He's going to do a massive amount of damage to anyone in the front line, so Ben has to be even better with the Taric ultimate to make sure it comes down in time.
Gotta watch how much they focus on Condi right away, but same thing for Team WE. Looking at Hauntzer as they open up the side to the rest of TSM. They feel like the fight is good with 957 in the front, but they pull off knowing they got a bit of a hit on that Hauntzer's Cho'Gath.
Initially, that looked quite scary for Team WE because Hauntzer was just sitting in that brush, waiting for the opportune flank. But the moment the Shen ultimate came down onto xiye, TSM just disengaged. They're like, there's no need for us to hard commit to this. There's no need to try and force a fight. And that's going to be a big ultimate that's now unavailable for Team WE.
And especially when TSM had the top wave shoved in, right? They already know that 957 was missing out on minions, and he's actually pretty nervous. You can see he doesn't even want to finish off the full minion wave. He's not sure that the TP would get him there in time for a fight, so he's roaming down to join. And when he can force a Shen to group with his team against the Cho'Gath, he's always going to be disadvantaged.
Hauntzer is hungry. 9 stacks, no champions, and he's looking for some dinner. 3-3 here. Team WE, Featherstorm start from Mystic. Cosmic Radiance goes down. It's going to get just a few of the members. xiye's on the backside, unprotected, and that may be the focus. Hauntzer hits him. The entire team collapses. xiye's down. Ben tries to run out here. Mystic on the top side. Beautiful damage coming in from him. The focus is perfect. Svenskeren low. Biofrost goes in for another attack. Featherstorm
at the resets.
but Doublelift has found the resets, and he says, here we go, TSM!
TSM find themselves the ace. They rip through Team WE, and they have their eyes on the base to get themselves another win.
And they will be able to at least get the inhibitor here. We'll see if they can get the inhibitor, then go back for the Baron, because the minion wave is not yet here. So this will take them some time, and we'll see if they decide to try to go for Nexus first or retreat back to the Baron. The Baron would certainly be the safer option here, but they might want to try to risk it.
Look at those death timers, though. Doublelift and Bjergsen just shred through these towers. I don't think Team WWE are going to respond in time, and I think TSM are going to take first in the group.
They have a Corki, they have a Tristana, they're the demolition team, and TSM will sit atop of Group D, 2-0, starting off the 2017 Worlds Group Stages.
TSM demonstrating that they can match the team fighting of the LPL squads. Team